and welcome everyone to, I think it's episode 28 of Living in the Flow. That's over 2 years that Tanya and I have been getting together like this, and just spontaneously we just go dive right into it. We get together a couple of minutes before the show, and then we just talk about whatever is happening because we're in the flow, and we can just discuss all of the things that have happened during the month and the current energies and the issues and things that we've noticed other people also are experiencing. And there's no need to prepare, there's no need to rehearse or write notes or I mean, the preparation, there is a preparation, but basically it's just coming back to self. So for me this week, like Talia and I, we just had a little chat just before we started, and both of us had a very busy full-on month, but especially this last week has just been so full-on, and for me it feels like we are like Tanya, you've just mentioned also, but we're just now asked to be physical, to be present, to be with other people. So this week has included some new things, like I've done a couple of extra shifts at the job that I participate, but also I've gone out and watched some performances of people that play music. I've sort of started to really rejoining the society, the community around, and also within the everyday life, I'm sort of asked to really just be physical. So normally, for example, I would have computer on most of the day, and I just keep coming in and out and check this and check that. But this time now, it's just like off the screen, just getting really into the gardening, into the cooking, into the whatever else that I'm doing. Music, playing drum, my keyboard has arrived, so it's like a whole new, I'm diving into this music in a whole new way, with learning the piano and learning how the music is composed, and sharing this with others and meeting new people through all of these kind of activities. But we're just seems to like that we really are asked just to come back into life. Like this journey has been so fascinatingly interesting, and like for me, I've sort of been very conscious of my soul now almost for a decade and a half. And it's been an incredible journey with lots of different waves and lots of different parts. Like there were a few years when I just completely retreated into my cave, and then one day the change came when as a soul self, I said, okay, now it's time to reconnect to community, to sort of really work out how to live within this life by being who you are, by being connected. And I must admit that first year or 2 years of that, when I really went back into life, it's been quite challenging because it has been so, at that time, still so painful to feel others, to feel other people's suffering energies that they were carrying, the battles, the inner battles, because you become really perceptive, and you actually can perceive what is going on with other people. And at that time, I still needed to work on my boundaries. Not that the boundaries are like the wall, the impenetrable wall, but I needed to learn how to be in this life while being connected, or at least learn how to come back to myself, come back to my own inner oneness, come back to my center, even if I forget for a bit who I was. Because once you go out among people, sometimes because the energies can be so intense, and other people's energies plug into your solar plexus, and all sorts of things happen, and then you do have to come back to self, and you do have to learn to really manage yourself, but not in a way to control, but just to allocate and be uncompromising as to, okay, this is my space to be with myself. This is my space to just go into nature and hang out. You can't let other people or life or commitments to just pull you in everything, even though sometimes that can also happen in life. And so now, last year has been really about cleaning out and just work like cleaning up really deeply embedded things and helping also like the general humanity to, you know, to not process but to transform and transmute certain energies. And now in this last couple of months, for me, it feels like, and also people that I work with, you know, the clients or people that I sort of chat with, feels like that now is really time to go back into the physical self. And people who haven't really embodied themselves are feeling the effects quite a lot. So a lot of the people have big body issues, and you know, especially like if you've been you know, living in a very dense energy, surrounded by very dense energies, there were still some vestiges of that. And it's kind of like this divine energy or divine presence hasn't really yet almost like touched the ground, so to speak. And there's in that there's still some kind of battle, or I don't know, some kind of barrier between that real connection between the physicalness and the soul self. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's kind of like if you still have a holding things in between that space, in between the real physical embodiment, visceral, you know, gritty embodiment, you may still be actually going through some challenging or difficult times at the moment. But you know, just keep breathing, keep using and utilizing all of those tools that we've been practicing for years and years and years, and really come back to self over and over, and really own who you are, own your own connection, own that you are a soul being, own that you are master walking on earth, own that you are divine and physical and all in between, own that you are your own oneness, own that you are abundant. All of these things that we talked about, now is the time to really live them, to own them, to experience them. It is no longer time for any theories, because if there is still that discrepancy between your real life and what you think you should be doing, with what you think what you know you can be because you can feel it, that's when then people are still having certain, you know, issues or suffering or pain or something going on. But if you just allow it just to be, to you know, your soul self or divinity to descend fully into your body, then you are home. You are on this earth, in your community, in your life, in who you are. Whatever name that you assign to yourself, you are at home. And then, yeah, life does get all of a sudden very busy, but busy in a good way, busy with sensuality, busy with beauty, with music, with joy, with dancing, with just such deliciousness of living, of you know, communicating, of friendships, of things just working itself out, and interactions with people of everything that we've dreamed about. And so it is a really, really incredible time at the moment, but it does require this incredible ownership of who we are. Over to you, dear Tanya.
Yeah, and picking up on the ownership thing, I find myself being faced with many people that have not really truly owned a few things. One thing is that it is the human self that is here right now, that is the bridge or the go-between between all of that happened in the past. And I'm talking about things that eventually were traumatic or that are still hanging around and making it a bit harder at the moment. So it is essential like never before to acknowledge the human that is the bridge between what was and soul. Because soul, our essence, our divinity, can only receive all of that which is being brought forward into the now for transmutation, for alchemy, through the bridge, through its human facet. And who is that human facet? So if there are so many different aspects that we created throughout our experience as humans, who is that then? It is the human of the now that has chosen to integrate, that has chosen to move beyond what it has been before in separation. It is that one that said, yeah, it's time. Let's do this now. It's okay. I'm here. Now, if that one is not okay with acknowledging oneself, with taking ownership of the fact that you are absolutely relevant in this whole connection of human and divine. There is no just divine. It is here on earth. Either it is human and divine, or it's not here on earth, or you're out of the body. And so you're just looking from over there and never really owning this lifetime, this body, this experience, or you're somewhere in the past, stuck in past experiences, or somewhere looking at the future, afraid of what's to come. So owning the fact that the human facet is essential in all of this is maybe what we missed many times before, even in other lifetimes where we were really very close and even very enlightened. But there were times where for us enlightenment translated with was translated into, I need to forget about the human. I need to shut this body down, or ignore whatever needs it has, because the body, the human, are not relevant. The only relevant thing is nirvana. Therefore, to forget about being human and to become divine, only divine on earth. And so we missed the point, in the sense that compassion in its absolute wholeness is acceptance of everything, not denial of something in order to achieve something that is perceived to be higher up or better or more special. So now, in this time and age that we have chosen to be in, because in a sense we chose to forego enlightenment in other previous times where we were just there, in order to be able to come in for the sum total of the experience, because at some point in the existence of humanity it became possible to finally transcend this virus of separation, this illusion brought upon in the experiences of victim, abuser, and savior, and that perpetuate themselves infinitely, and that have taken us to the very edges of the darkest darkness that could ever have been experienced in physical form. And so at some point in our history as incarnating beings, it became possible that there would be a time, which is now, to bring it all back together And so to remember and realize that though all of these experiences were not unreal, so they are very real, and we have to take an ownership of all of it. But on the other hand, they are not determining of us. So no matter how real each and every single experience we have been through here on earth as forgotten humans, none of those experiences could corrupt who we truly are, in essence. And being able for us to now bring that together to transcend all of the separation, including the illusion that somehow we could forego being human while we're on earth. Even releasing that is a huge sense of ownership, of realizing, oh, so I came here to be human. But to remember that that is not the whole of who I am. This is just a part of existence, of experiencing existence in a certain way. And in the same way that we are here on earth experiencing existence through humanness, through physical body, we experience existence in many other ways, in many other different parts of the universe. And now the ownership is about realizing, for me, in a big way, everyone realizing, okay, let's get real. I am human, and I am in a human body, and that is not a bad thing. That is the whole purpose of being here on this planet. But no matter what I went through, which I own, because I co-created those experiences with whoever it has been throughout the ages that I have interacted with, no matter what, I am this, I don't like to use the word light, because then it's like light and dark, but it is in the final sense of it.
It's kind of like, you know, saying divinity,
right, exactly. It's not
if
like
human
it's
is
better.
not divinity, isn't it? But
exactly.
it's just you have to
So
use certain words.
Yeah, and so I don't want to sort of say light as in light is better than dark. No, that's not exactly what I'm saying. It's like we are this enlightened being that can now bring all of this together in a magical alchemy that finally becomes the possibility of transcending all of this abusive victimhood, saviorship, and all of these games we've played, and now to be able to experience humanness from a whole different perspective. Because if none of that is there, then what is there is purely incredible. It's new. It's something we've never really experienced before, ever before. Because even in those lifetimes when we were very wise, we were trying to forego being human. And so for me, the extent of the ownership is huge. And also, for instance, in my personal experience at the moment, there is a lot going on at the same time, but it's okay. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. So what? And it's owning that all of the stuff that is happening because I chose to set it in motion, because I said, yes, okay, let's jump into the ocean and see what happens now. And it's just, being there, it's being on my horse and knowing I can ride it, and knowing that it is my friend. It's not gonna sort of go wild and throw me down. because that is no longer my experience. So no matter what I am galloping through on this journey that is now super intense, it's super intensely creative, really. It's like taking creatorship to another level, and discovering that other level as I take each step. So it's not that I knew anything about it, that I know anything about it, is discovering about it step by step. And so it's like riding this stallion that is super beautiful, graceful, and that can jump over any whatever shows up on the way with this incredible grace, and enjoying it and say, oh wow, oh well, the journey didn't end at being at complete peace within and having loads of time on my hands and just contemplating, because I spent quite a while in that phase,
And it's a
between
necessary
2019
phase.
and now, between 2019 and maybe the beginning of this year, I would say. I was in that phase that, you know, no, I need this. This is the only thing right now. And that's exactly what it was. And it was so essential, because I could not have built up the capacities that I now need to travel this journey that is so intense and full on, if I didn't have that absolute silent peace within me that is there all the time, no matter where I am, no matter who I'm with, no matter what's going on. And even at certain moments when it seems like, oh my gosh, this day now has started and there's more and more stuff coming into that day, like, oh, okay, I also need to do that and that and that, and being able to just stay in that peaceful silence and know that it's not a mountain, you know, you just move through it and it just moves so smoothly. It's amazing to be in the experience and to observe it at the same time. So to be able to always be so present that you observe the experience as it is happening, at the same time as you are in it, experiencing it. And this is only possible because of owning the human, because of owning the human that is walking here on earth with this body, and knowing that I'm not just that, obviously, that I'm the whole thing. So not being able to separate between my soul and the human, I can't do that, because I'm the whole thing. Now, of course, some moments I feel more human, in the sense that, you know, some moments I get tired, or some moments it feels like, whoa, this is a big thing to learn, or how am I going to grasp that? And then all of a sudden this wisdom of me just comes forward and says, it's one breath at a time, nothing to it. And then it just becomes so simple. And the preconceived idea of this is too much disappears, because nothing is too much for the wholeness that we are. I mean, we are incredibly more, and each moment we discover more of that. But being more doesn't mean being better, or anything of a higher hierarchical measure. It just means, oh wow, I can stretch out so much further than I believed possible before. And that's because of all of that time of sitting in compassion, of allowing that deep peace to just be the only thing that was there, nothing else. And during that period, there was nothing to to think about, because there was nothing there that was more relevant than just being in that cave, like you say, removed from everything and experiencing and savoring that, so that then you can move further into the humanness of being a divine expression. We are a divine expression in human form.
Exactly.
And that gives us everything, loads of stuff we never believed we could master, we could
and
achieve.
each next step, I find that it's quite different, you know, like you can't really even imagine it. And with all of these stages, I found that every stage I was really so looked after. So everything around me aligned so beautifully, so that, you know, whenever, because people have concerns, how am I going to survive, how am I going to pay the bills, and all, you know, how am I going to deal with family, because if I just go, you know, stand back and just I have to have this peace and stuff. The most incredible thing that throughout this intense journey that I found is that each section or each sector, because there are steps or there are certain different sections of it, I was absolutely looked after. It all worked out. It all happened, all the bills are paid, all of the things have happened, all, you know, everything that I needed was there. If I needed to go to nature, I had access to it. If I needed to just stay at home, all of a sudden, you know, there was the home. But throughout all of that, all of the different unintegrated aspects came, the ones that would not, you know, allow that kind of ease and grace and flow and transitions and trust. And they just needed, they wanted to come home. They needed to be integrated into the wholeness so that they could become facets, or some went into neutral. And, you know, like, so whatever happened, I was looked after. And whatever happened that was in contradiction to that, all of those parts started to come home. And I also had the ability to deal with each and everything that happened. So when it was time to go into the valley of the shadows, into the very deep, the deepest part of me, that to the bottom of the bottomest, past all the pain, past all the suffering, past all the depression, you know, when it's like you're sort of diving through all these layers and layers of self, and you just keep going until you fall into nothingness, because I am that I am is nothing. And then in that space you realize, wow, I still am, I still exist. And then all of a sudden you realize that this I am that I am, who I am, is everything, all of the potentials, all of the choices, all of the options. And at the same time, within the physical life that I am currently, there are some physical restraints in a sense that, you know, I am not 10 years old. I am the age that I am. So physicalness does require, it does require certain choices. You know, you choose, are you a male? Are you a female? Are you this? Are you, you know, do you live on this continent or you live on that continent? This is part of physicalness. But because of that, being aware of who I am, this all and nothing at the same time, none of this is a limitation anymore, because I can feel myself, all of that exuberance of a teenager, or all of these parts are still very much alive, and me in this oneness. And yet if I focus on it, for me, I can feel them, I can invite them. For example, let's say if I say, wow, let's do some wild dance, and I can invite this my younger selves to come into forefront and act, you know, do that act and bring their joy and their freedom and their exuberance to whatever that I'm doing. And so there's a lot of freedom in how we create, or how we continually create ourselves in every moment. And like, you know, as people who are watching this show, they realize, you know, that even though we, in some ways, you and I experience certain things, but we experience them also in a very, very different way. And we are very, very different people. So it's not like that we become the same. We become more and more unique each all the time. And this radical acceptance, like you mentioned, I've experienced that in this last couple of months as well, that before this new stage, I was asked to completely and radically accept and re-accept all about me. And there are some people that there are, let's say, that can sometimes be confused whether, you know, they believe, okay, maybe I should just follow or listen to one teaching or one this and one that. There is a merit in that, but like, let's say for me, in the past, what I've done is I followed my inner voice wherever it took me. So you mentioned, you know, all of these traumas or PTSD and all sorts of things. And for example, let's say in a spiritual community, a very common experience is that of a narcissist or an empath. So a lot of the people have either had parents or partners, one or the other, and these are the, or, you know, very traumatic past and all sorts of things. And these are the things that I found that if another teacher didn't have experience in this life, that it was okay to actually go and do things with another person who does, who maybe specializes in whatever you need. Because one person, one teacher, one entity that cannot include all of the different you know, plethora of things that each one of us experience. So don't be afraid to experiment. It's not a betrayal. It's not that you're leaving, you know, something. But if you need to deal with trauma, then do trauma work, you know, because these are the things that are stopping you, because these kind of patterns, they create habits within life, and your soul, your greater soul self will guide you and help you. But there is needed, because we are physical beings, because we are human beings, and within this radical acceptance, work is needed. You know, the habits do need to change. And there are easier ways to do that, and there are harder ways to do that. Just like the same as with, let's say, with financial independence or financial abundance, there are certain pathways that can be easier, and there are certain other pathways that are harder. But you know, I think don't be afraid to explore. So for me, I've always explored in this way. If I saw that I needed some assistance in a certain area along the way, I would just dive into and find out about that thing. You don't feel, you know, some people do feel like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't go here or there, because there are a lot of people also who are not particularly like we, who are really deeply into this enlightenment and in this embodiment, are in a very different place than, let's say, other people that have not actually done this integration. But at the same time, there are so many different helps in available that a person, for example, let's say, you know, if there's something wrong with the car, you don't need to go to an enlightened mechanic. You can go to a normal mechanic and they can fix it, you know. But it's the same. I find that there is so much knowledge out in the world, you know, that can assist, that can make the journey easier and quicker. But at the same time also, you know, that presence of self, the discernment, following your own inner voice is also needed, because you have to choose, okay, this is for me, this is not for me, this is for me, this is not for me. So that was one of the things that I noticed. And yeah, you know, for people, because it is such time of this radical acceptance, it does require to accept all of those really hard parts of self, because it's only that makes it go free. And also, if you know your journey, like let's say this enlightenment journey, like Tanya mentioned, you know, it was so full of falsehoods. How can I say? the ideas that really were not true. You know, we've tried all of these different things, and we had different ideas of what it really meant. And so some people, me included, you know, when I looked at my life backwards, or my past, I thought, well, but if I am this master and this enlightened, I would have surely chosen like a different kind of life. I wouldn't have chosen to do this or that, or have those kind of issues. Those kind of things or ideas have to really go. And like you, Tanya, said, this radical acceptance just means accepting the life journey as it is, as it was, things that have happened to you, things that you've experienced, things that you know you might have dreamed to be someone else, but be falling into your life, as in, you know, soul self descending into the human life, joining the human in life. It does require the life just to be as it was, accepted as it was, because from the soul's point of view, from that part that we call the soul, nothing was wrong. There isn't any one thing that is more sacred and more or less divine. Or this whole earth is a setup, this incredibly divine setup, in a way that the souls, which is you, which is I, which is all of us, are, that play out all of these different things. We test this, we test that. What happens if I believe this? What happens if I believe that? We test it and we see what happens, meaning that, okay, because we are creators, we have certain beliefs, and we say, okay, if I focus on this, let's see what happens. If I do this, let's see what happens. It is just that in a, you know, in the separation, we've forgotten this creatorship, who we really are, that we create our reality, and we got a bit lost, and we forgot how we actually create. And now this how we create is really at the forefront, because the results are so quick. You know, like if you believe this, straight away it starts happening in your life. There is no more that training wheel. You know how children can have those, like when they learn the bicycle, they might have those two side wheels to help them not fall, you know, before they learn to balance. So we used to have this gap of safety between what you believe and what actually happens within your life, but that is now gone. So you know, whatever is happening, you just have to, just all of us, we just have to keep coming back to self and breathe and allow and accept whatever is happening, that is happening, and just go sink into the self, sink into the body, and just allow that inner knowingness and inner who you are to work things, to understand, to wisdomize, to you know, to resolve if it needs resolving, to sort of find out what is the next step. That all happens within. And we, as humans who were in separation, we weren't used to this incredible instant knowingness and knowledge, and just knowing everything in a way that, you know, if you ask a question, right, okay, so why is this happening to me? If I really want to know, when I stay with myself, I will exactly know why it's happening to me. Whatever, I will know why certain thing is happening to me, because this knowingness is so present and it is so available. But to be able to really see yourself with such clarity and with such rawness and with such you know, because you see yourself as you are, and you also see perhaps what the human self in the past thought were flaws, or perhaps, you know, the projections that perhaps, let's say, I saw myself as this, and I would project the opposite onto another person, to actually then realize, my gosh, actually all of this is happening on the inside. I am this, but I am also that. I'm the victim, and I'm also the abuser. All. So to see yourself with such clarity, that is why it took such a long time as to what the human things to get here to this incredible radical acceptance of self, because you had to really learn how to do that, to be able to really see more and more and more. Because in let's say 10 years ago, something to see something so radically clear about myself, it was a shock, when I realized, oh my God, I'm a drama queen. I thought other people were drama queens and I'm just a victim of that. And no, but I was that on the inside, but it becomes easier and easier until you actually welcome all of these things, because you realize along the way all parts are of equal value to your divine self, to your soul self. There isn't one part of itself that will be, the drama queen is less than, or the abuser is less than, the victim is more, it's the martyr is important. None of that. All of the parts of self are of equal value, and all of the parts of self want to come home, and they do come home along the way. So, and as you keep accepting yourself in these new ways, when you do this radical acceptance, and let's say you accept, wow, I'm a drama queen, when that part comes home, you all of a sudden, it also brings gifts of itself, because every part is divine and every part has incredible gifts. And as you allow and accept, it actually changes your perception of who you are, makes you bigger, as in, you perceive yourself all of a sudden much bigger, and it gives you more freedom and more room to move. And so when you do the radical acceptance, that's even the next stage, where you just accept and accept and accept, and you just keep expanding inside and expanding until there are no more barriers to that soul self. And that's kind of what I was meaning before when I said for some people there still is some kind of a barrier between the physicalness and that soul self. And this is what is the barrier, is those unaccepted bits that still have not been accepted. And with radical acceptance, it's like it's like you permeate through all of that. It doesn't mean they have to completely resolve. It doesn't mean perfect, some kind of perfection or whatever a human being would think, but it just does mean that they are home, that you are whole, that they become porous. Somehow they become porous, and that soul, that love of self can flow through, and then you don't have those barriers anymore between the so-called divine and the physicalness, and it all then feels incredibly sacred, incredibly potent, and also incredibly important. And like you said, it's not important in a hierarchical way, but like there isn't any more, well, I'm going to wash the floors now. Oh, but that's just some menial job. It's not. All of the things that you do throughout the day, whether you go to something that is important, you go and meet some important celebrity or something, or whether you're washing the floors at home, all of it is of equal value, of equally divine, because you realize the purpose why we're here. You realize the incredible, not magic, but the incredible scientific geometry, mathematical precision of the creation, the knowledge that goes into creating every single little part of your life is incredible, is beyond any imagination. And so even just, let's say, us sitting here, the fact that I can sit on the chair and feel it, how much divinity, how much knowledge goes into that, when you realize the magnitude of everything, then everyday things, everyday word, every day really goes out of the window, because there is no everyday. It is all sacred, it is all magical, it is all malleable, it is all serving you perfectly, in perfect alignment. And when you're integrated, like Tanya said, then that wild stallion, the wild horse, actually you realize that it works with you, because there is no more battle, and all parts of yourself. There is no fear, because you have nothing to fear. You've been to the depths of yourself. You felt all of the most scariest parts of yourself, the depressions, the addictions, the hatred, the abuser, the victim, the hopelessness, the helplessness, all of those parts, the powerlessness, all of those parts you felt, and you realize, wow, it's just a feeling, it's just an emotion, and when it flows, I feel it. Maybe it's not comfortable, but it moves on. Even that passes, and then the next stage comes. There's always something next after that. So when you've actually seen yourself in this radical way, when you've accepted yourself, and you realize that whatever life that you've had, because I know some people say, well, but my life is not important, how can I be a master? I'm not famous, I'm not rich, I'm not this or that, whatever. Then you realize all of those labels really also go out of the window, and you radically accept your path, what you did, what you didn't do, where you are, where you've been. And from that new life is birthed, because you've called all parts of you home. And from there, then all of a sudden, this new starts to be birthed, and you get a guide. You sort of start stepping out into all these different directions, and doing things that you never thought you could do, and then all starts happening very quickly. And it doesn't take very long to things to actually happen within your life. It doesn't take very long for something to be created in your life, and all of a sudden you realize, wow, I didn't know I have so much physical energy, or whatever age you are. All of a sudden you realize, wow, I can do all these things that other people of the same age can't do, because you have opened this. You are in connection with this incredible depth of yourself, with incredible like as in water, these clear waters of your well-being. They continually bubble up, they nurture, they love, they hug, they support, they just are life-giving, and all of that is available to you at all times, within whatever's happening. And so then, yes, what can you be afraid of in life? Of nothing. You're not afraid of anything, because you have come to yourself, and you are a creator of your own reality. Doesn't mean that you are like that, what the mind would think, oh, I'm just controlling every little part of it. No, not at all. Actually, you let go of control, and you flow, and you know that anything that that happens is you've created it, and it's somehow not that it's like that wishful thinking, oh, it's just it's all for the best. It's not that, but you trust, because you trust your own self, you trust your creations, and because you don't have a war within yourself, you don't create a war outside for you to experience. You don't create a failure, because what failure is meaningless. All of those things, all of the words that you used to use are now meaningless. And so you then settle into this incredible life of joy, of really doing things that you perhaps wished before, but then all of a sudden they can just become real, step by step, as long as you keep acting on the ideas that you have, as long as you keep acting and following your own inner prompts and your own inner, like, how can I say, I forgot the word, but you get guided, you self-guide yourself through all of the different things, and it is just very, very exciting. What else can I say?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Exactly, that's it. And a thing I would like to mention around all of this is that everyone on earth carries, until this is accepted and acknowledged, a rage, a big, big, big anger. And it has two phases. And these phases can happen together or simultaneously or not, which is the phase of feeling this rage against those who have who have harmed you, who at the moment of being harmed you perceived were harming you. And so the rage comes out as a self-protection mechanism, as a way to feel strong. And then when that becomes useless because at some point you realize you don't have that power, so no matter how many times that rage comes out, it doesn't work, then it turns against you, and then it becomes a rage against oneself. And until this rage, which is a part of the human experience, and it is a part of survival, and it is a part of the different moments we have been through in this lifetime, other lifetimes, whatever, until that is acknowledged, there will always be some form of separation within, because that rage that one is usually afraid of, because it's sort of kind of called like the dark side that comes out and does things without our permission, and sort of it comes out, but it comes out to protect us. So if that rage is not acknowledged, it will be lying somewhere in the unconscious, and it will switch and take over when we are in a moment of profound suffering. And that's when that thing comes out, and like people sometimes do things that they can't explain, that then they feel bad about what they did and so on. But that only happens because it has not been acknowledged, because behind that rage, what lies is pain, is a lot of pain. And so that rage is just there covering that pain up, and it usually is a child. So there's nothing to be afraid of. So the invitation at this point, and on earth we see this massively with the wars going on and all of that, it is look inside and allow the rage to come forward, but in the presence of your essence, of your soul. Your soul is in you, is you. I mean, it's you, but needs to be acknowledged as being a part of this journey, because it is the integrator. The soul is the one that receives these things and transmutes them. So it takes out the richness, that which is useful within that emotion or whatever it is, and then the rest just dissolves. And so all of the energy that was stuck in there can be released. And the energy of rage is a lot. I mean, it's huge. It's very, very big. It takes up a lot of space. And so so if, for instance, in the world around you, there are things that are making you feel really, 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 really angry, it's time to take that opportunity and stop and look inside and allow that rage to come and show itself to you, and for you to see it and move through it, and for you to remember why it happened, why it was born, because behind it there is a reason, and that reason needs to be accepted and acknowledged. It's not silly, it's not a stupid reason, it's not like it's not senseless. There is a sense in there, there is a reason why that got created. And then, so, and if you find yourself, on the other hand, feeling very bad about yourself often and all of that, and there's this anger at yourself, like, you know, why don't I this or that or whatever, so then the rage has turned towards you instead of turning outside. That is really smart, because the reason, or what kept us coming on and on and on, because we somehow lost track over and over again, was precisely because we at many times let ourselves be lost in that rage, and so went into the pleasure of being in it, of feeling that power, of feeling above the suffering and all of that. And so when we got lost in that, then the journey was from there on that kind of journey. And this, as long as this kept on happening, we needed to come back over and over again to experience more suffering, to see when the moment would be that we would realize, oh, wait a minute, I don't want any more of this. What's happening here? And so the smartness of the rage, once it's not focused outside, turning on oneself, is that at least then you're not already projecting it on others, which makes it much easier to perpetuate. But then again, if you're turning it on yourself, there is this lack of self-love, of knowing that you are valuable, of knowing who you are. So it's time to look at that as well, and to realize, okay, can I be done with this? It served a huge purpose. It's not something that shouldn't have been there in the first place. It's what has helped us manage the whole experience of being human. So I do feel very much so in this point now on Earth, as a planetary invitation, it's time to face the rage, so that it can start being dismantled in each one at a time, and then that starts creating critical mass, and it starts happening less and less out there, this rage against. So it is also, and then when you in this radical acceptance realize even the rage, it's just been so perfect, so useful, so what it had to be, and realizing that, yeah, soul did participate in that creation. The soul is you, and soul needed to find ways to deal with each layer of expression, of experience, and that was one of the ways. It's not wrong, it's not right, it's part of what it has been here. And yeah, it did get out of hand a lot. That's why we are where we are as human, as a species on the planet. Yeah, it did get out of hand, but each one has in their hand right now the opportunity, because it's easier than ever before to feel the support of soul and to face things that before seemed unnameable, unacceptable. And so it's a huge turning point for humanity, really. These opportunities to get so very real. And once that is done, once that is over, and there's no more of that in there, then the walls can really be perceived as no longer there, because they don't need to be there, because you don't need to protect yourself from yourself anymore. And once you don't need to protect yourself from yourself, you don't need to protect yourself from anything or anyone, because you are safe. So it's not about protecting ourselves from the rest of the world. It's about realizing how much of ourselves is protecting ourselves. And once that moves, once we realize, okay, there is this sage inside of me that I can listen to and that I can trust and that can guide me through this. And the feeling of being alone in this, it sort of decreases. It's not that soul is someone else, but it is this maturity of realizing that being alone is an illusion in a sense. It's that. So that maturity starts coming forward, and you start realizing that aloneness, that victimhood of being alone in the sense of left alone to suffer or whatever, was just a part of the experience, of the reverse experience of who we truly are. But we've never really been left alone, because this is a joint experience, even. So though my experience is unique and Alexis's, your experience is unique, and each one's experience is unique because the sum total of everything that makes it up is unique, it is also a joint experience, this experience of choosing to be human on Earth. It is a joint experience. So none of us is alone in this. And realizing that it can change a little bit and be a bit more supportive of the radical acceptance that is essential to move beyond being angry at whoever or whatever. Like when a lie comes up and we find out the truth about stuff, stuff that's like in Portugal, there was a big thing now with the government falling because of a bit of fraud going on and all of that. And I'm sure many people get angry at these things. But once you've faced all of this stuff inside and realize you've also been that and done all these things and whatever, it becomes very relative. And then you start realizing, oh, yeah, it's not worth my energy to go into that, because there's so much more richness in being in a new experience where I can produce what I really believe in, what really makes me alive and joyful and all of that those things just become so irrelevant. So yeah, they are serious issues in a sense, but you don't need to put your energy into that, into judgment or whatever, or trying to fix the thing or whatever, but rather creating a new trail, a new pathway that becomes a possibility, becomes so much more interesting, so much more productive than trying to fight against. And I was at the Web Summit this last week, and it's the biggest tech conference in the world. It's in Lisbon, and so there were all of these celebrities and everyone, like, whatever. And there's this atmosphere of innovation, entrepreneurship, and going beyond what was believed to be possible, really. So, and the big talk about artificial intelligence and all of that. And one of the things that there were many moments, many light bulb moments, and that's why I go there, because I become aware of what's going on in that sector of the world, of where people are really focused on solving issues and creating new things that make sense, instead of focused on the problems themselves. So and it's super inspiring, because there's so much going on out there, and artificial intelligence is a big part of also the useful stuff that is happening for us to be able to go on a new journey, new pathway. And one thing is also, you know, once we resolve all of this, we become activists, but not in the sense of, to be an activist, you don't need to be against anything. You just take action. And what does it mean for me now to take action? It means to be coherent in thought, word, and deed. So my actions correspond and are a clear reflection and a clear example of all that I stand for. And so that is being an activist. That is being actively alive, actively present.
And for me, I find
Actively
that,
embodying.
yeah, and actively not participating in
Exactly.
what is not,
Actively
yes.
choosing what you want to be a part of and what doesn't make sense to you. Active is a
And
big
very
word
decisive
now.
and decisive, you know,
Yes,
like this,
discerning.
decisive, and this is not anymore that I want to be part of, and it's a
Right.
no, and
And
walk
it's
away.
easy.
Easy, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we've come to more or less the end, but this this session of ours was so full of realness, really. Like all of them are, but now we were also looking at those things that you know, people are going through and all of that, and that
And
are
the
so
world is going through, isn't it? It's like with all the
exactly people
wars.
in all. And yeah, we're not saying it's not happening. We're
No.
not saying these things are not here. We're just sharing how we navigate this.
And it's
Or
not an escapism. That's one of the
no,
things, you know, because like you can escape and be in a fairyland. You
yeah,
become, you're very, very aware of things. So that's what I
yeah.
find. I'm very aware of what's going on in the world, even though like I don't watch news and stuff, and somehow for whatever reason,
But
somehow
somehow things you know about them.
you get to know them. And the thing is, like, you know, when people with this at the moment, there is this you know, people are on this side or on that side, and a lot of it, like this rage and anger
Exactly.
yeah, to
To
take
not take
sides.
sides
Yeah, and
is
but
an
it,
invitation.
yeah, and it also has to do, like, for me was a lot of the rage that when it came out, and anger was to do with feeling powerless, you know.
Yeah,
And there's
exactly.
so many reasons to feel powerless, like
Yeah.
in relationship to the governments, to the corporations, to all of these
To
things,
all sorts of
go to
things.
anything. And so when you realize, when you really keep turning inside and say, okay, so where does my power come from? Does it mean sense? And you feel into, and you keep coming back to soul and to your eternal self. It means you know, that's where you actually get these things. And then this powerless and power, there are defined experiences that I found that I had to have quite a few experiences to do with that, until they dissolved, and I realized, wow, there's, you know, I trust there is no need for power and
Exactly. There's no
powerlessness.
need for
Yeah, but
powerlessness.
the stories of how all of these things, like, you know, people taking sides and people being
Yeah.
at war and stuff, it's like on the inside. When I came to a point, like those milliseconds of when another decision had to be made, do I go the old way or do I go the new way? I kept on choosing the new way. And with your support, with this presence of your soul self, you are able to keep choosing the new way, because this is what actually ends the game. The game does not end when you or decides that our war, actually one wins and one gets
Yeah,
justified.
that keeps
There
the
is
game
no
going.
there's no justice. You can never say, well, this side is more guilty than the other, because
Yeah.
with all the history of the wars, both have suffered. Both sides have parents that have lost children. Both sides have grown-ups who are suffering from trauma with war wounds and whatever. That's the result of this ongoing conflict. It's
Yeah.
not that someone's going to get justice or whatever, but it's to realize that the game ends when you step out of it, when
Out
you
of it.
say no more. There is no
Mhm.
end as in, oh, I get justice, or I get my right, I prove that I'm right, or I
We've
prove.
tried that.
Exactly. And there's no, with the game ends, any game, whether it has to do with, let's say, lack of abundance, whether it has to do with not being accepting of self, where any game you're playing ends when you say no more. And in that millisecond, when you can choose this way or that way, you say, I walk away. Now, first time, it is quite a challenge to choose a different way, because it's such a big habit to go this way. But when you say it once, you realize, oh my God, so this is what that real empowerment means, that real
This is
freedom. This is freedom, when you
and this
can
is what, like,
choose different.
yeah, what in the Bible is called turning the other cheek.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
yeah,
what it
yeah, yeah,
means.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's not like just not seeing, you see it,
Right,
but it's just you choose to step out of that old game.
right.
And this has to do whether you're dealing with other people, that someone, let's say, has come to you for a battle, or the inner parts. When let's say, if you feel that you're putting yourself down, you realize, wow, I actually have to stop this. And then you stop it and you do it different. You choose love, and you choose love again, and you choose love again, and you choose love again. And that's how you change your day. Is sometimes people have this idea that, okay, one day you're this way, and then the next day you're just all of a sudden enlightened, and everything's perfect and everything is hunky-dory. No, it's a path, it's a journey. You as a soul chose this slow down reality
To
to
really experience it in
experience
a new way.
each step along the way, how you came to come back to self, how you stopped feeling powerless, how you came to not stop feeling powerless. How do you stop to feel powerless? You feel self-love. That's how
Yeah.
you just always, if you're in doubt, stop and feel self-love. And that then opens up space within you for choice, for different choice. And it also opens up space to allow more and more of your soul self to be present with you. And the more you allow that presence, the easier then it gets to deal with all of the things that are happening and within you or outside of you, and you get to know what actually you want to do and better ways of doing things. And that's how you change your day, like how your day is it full of joy, things that you enjoy, or is it still full of you fighting, you feeling loathing yourself, you feeling loathing and hatred towards others? You just say, no, not anymore, not today. And you choose self-love, and you choose self-love, and you just keep choosing that. And you'll be surprised where you end up, where the simplicity and the tools that all of us have in a day, and you
Yeah.
don't, these are the things that you can't buy on a market. They're all inside. You already have them. And so, but it's decisiveness and keep doing it. And sometimes it does keep, if you're not used to doing it, you have to keep repeating. Okay, so
Yeah.
you don't feel the soul, the presence. Okay, I stop. I invite, I feel. And again, you get distracted. Okay, I stop, I invite, I feel. There was a time when that's all I was doing. You have to keep practicing and keep practicing and keep practicing until it becomes a new habit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
then
everyone can do it. It's not like,
absolutely.
but it requires this grit, the
Mm.
grit of just stay with it.
You have to stay with it no matter what, because when the energies see you doing that, they will come and try to
Yeah.
distract.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like, there's something there. Okay,
Yeah.
heart, come home.
And not getting angry at oneself in the sense
No.
like on this journey, there are many moments where one feels, oh wow, I feel so great, whatever, and then right after that there's a huge big thing. It's
Yeah.
not that you're doing anything wrong, it's you're doing it right. I mean, it's just be a consequence, like when you start connecting more with soul, then everything that did not have permission just comes more and more and more, and tries to say, no, let's not go and trust that one, because that one wasn't here for a long time. So there's all of this also, not trusting soul and all of that, like, where the hell were you when I needed you? These parts come forward, and so it's a journey. It's a journey.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it was harder when it wasn't that journey.
But
So
it was also exciting, like the whole time, the incredible experience. It's so full of incredible experiences. Oh my God. It really is a journey,
it's
epic.
very
It's a
rich.
hero's journey,
It
of
is,
self. We're all
definitely.
our own heroes.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
So,
wow. So next month we're here before Christmas. And meanwhile, check out our websites. We've got all of this yummy, yummy stuff going on, and a lot of support also we offer. Because sometimes it does get a bit tough and hard to discern. And thank you also for your very generous donations that we've received, and yeah, well,
and we
let's just,
appreciate to each one that continually comes, and
yeah, for
participates. We
coming and
feel your
participating.
energy and we enjoy the comments. Please do comment, leave comments on
Yeah,
and what you enjoy. And also, if you have some questions, please do comment, because then we can next time,
yeah,
come
even
back
if you'd
and
like us to talk about something specific,
yes.
and also share your wisdom.
Yeah, and if you join on Zoom, because there are a couple of ways, you can watch on Facebook, but if you join on Zoom, then there is this Q&A button. So let's say if you sign up, you get a reminder a week before and also a day before, and you also have a Q&A where you can type up the question that we can then
Yeah,
read out. So there are lots of
that's
different ways.
relevant.
Yeah, and we would like to interact. So perhaps, going into the new year, perhaps we can invite everyone to interact more, to
Yeah,
sort of make
because
comments and things like that.
we're not checking the comments on Facebook while we're in the show, because it's
Mhm.
only the two of us. So if you do want to sort of say something, come in and join directly
Mhm.
in Zoom.
Exactly. All right. And so thank you, dear Tanya, and thank you for each and everyone that is watching live, has watched live, or will watch later. You two are already
Thank you.
present, and we thank each one, and looking
Thank you
forward
very
till
much.
next month.
A big, big warm hug to you, Alexis, and to
And
everyone.
to you, and to you.